Welcome on into the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah insider for KSL Sports. Joined tonight by the fellas, Cam Beck, Tyson Mall, Josh Bennett. Fellas, it was a big weekend. It was almost, you could say it was a perfect weekend for Utah. ESPN College Game Day was on campus this weekend. The students were out in full force. It was an all-day event for Utah fans, and they were at it from early in the morning to late at night. Big game for Utah, dark mode game, and again, Rice Eccles under the lights is just a special place to be. And yeah, so how we doing, fellas? How we feeling after Utah's 45-14 smackdown of the Cincinnati Bearcats?
Football remains fun.
Yeah, I think Utah should score 40 points every game.
It does help things.
Is Utah football not scoring 40 points a game?
Well,
they've had a couple.
No.
But this November trend is a good one. Let's stick to it. Yeah,
100%.
November 40. I'm about it.
Remember when November used to be like the death month for Utah football?
Yep. The fall off. Yeah, dude.
Remember when 500 yards of offense was like a big deal?
400 yards was a big deal.
Yeah.
300 yards.
300 yards was a big deal. How deep do we want to go back into?
It was not that long ago.
That was not long ago. That was a year
It's
ago.
not deep at all.
Scoring from the 2-yard line was a big deal.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, scoring points, moving the ball, offense. It's fun.
I feel like the Paul Rudd meme from when he was on Hot Ones. Like, hey, look at us. Look at us.
Who'd have thought? Not me.
It is truly, though, it's hard for me to. I'm not smart enough at football to understand what changed, other than obviously personnel and things coming in and out and unexpected. But like, it's unbelievable how different it can be season over season. With again, like, and it's not like Utah got rid of a guy who was a schlub, right? Like a proven guy who's done it multiple places, multiple times at Utah, and had really great success. And just like new look, new blood, new offense, new, it's a little bit of new personnel, and it's just like, the whole new team. It's amazing how quickly you can turn it around these days.
It really is amazing. And there was a conversation about Utah's offensive coordinator and just how perfect Jason Beck has been for Utah and this squad. And obviously we can go back, we can revisit the drama of last December and the offensive coordinator search and Ben Arbuckle and that whole saga. But hindsight being 2020, I think Utah landed the ideal offensive coordinator for this group, right? For the personnel that Utah had in place already, for the pieces that they brought in. And you look at the numbers over the course of 9 games now, and pretty impressive turnaround. Like we've said, this is just incredible stuff that we're seeing from Utah football.
Yeah, if this is the consolation prize, I'm good.
It really is impressive. All right, so on tonight's on this episode, we'll be talking about recapping the game, what stood out to us. We'll be talking about the defense specifically and what's really caught our eye over the last couple weeks. And then we'll take a look at the Big 12 picture, some tiebreaker scenarios, obviously now with the Cincinnati game out of the way. With that win secured for Utah, you can start to look ahead a little bit, especially now during the bye week. We're not going to have much else to do but speculate on the tiebreaker scenarios, and that's just what our minds are going to be doing. So we'll run through some of those and have fun with that and talk about the Big 12 title race and the Big 12 picture. So where should we start with the game itself? Or do we talk about favorite moment from Saturday in general? I was there at ESPN College Game Day. I'm sure everybody was watching or have seen clips from College Game Day. Alex Smith and his incredible monologue before he made his Utah pick. What was the highlight of the day for you guys?
I mean, that one, like the Alex's monologue was good, like doing his best Pat McAfee impression, like giving all the props to Cincy, and then starting to turn around and start looking at all the fans. But one that I caught was when they were bringing him in on that old like 40s truck, and when he started talking about being back, he choked up a little bit.
Yeah,
his voice was a little cracked a couple times, so I thought that was pretty cool. Having him come back. How many times have we had game day, and I'm just shocked that he's never been the guy to come in and be the guest picker. Like, I feel like I would have been the first one after he was gone.
Totally. Yeah.
He was a little busy doing stuff on.
It's Saturday. What are they doing on Saturday in the NFL?
But yeah, I agree. It is funny that it took. I mean, wow! And then how lucky are we to say it took this many College Game Day appearances, right? But yeah, what a moment! What a figure to have there too. I mean, Alex Smith too. His obviously as Utah fans, we have a ton of room in our hearts for him. But like, everything he's gone through, it's so cool having him represent the university and be that figure for the U and be someone who's that inspiring. And anyway, that was an awesome moment. Personally, my favorite was I got to attend. This is the first game I got to attend in a few years, and this was a great one. And but Carvalho's return, I think, has got to be high for me. I think, if I'm not mistaken, is that Utah's first punt return since Covey's against Oregon? Yeah.
Yep. Sure is.
Great moment. A lot of fun. It felt like he was ready to break one that game. The one before that, if he'd have gone outside, I think he probably scores too. But yeah, that was a lot of fun seeing him get to cap that.
Yeah, I'd say the punt return definitely. That takes it. Just the energy that was there at Rice Eccles at that moment. Like, I think everybody was pieced back together after, the first loss. It was like, all right, whatever, get back in the saddle. Second loss to the rival. A lot of people just, not coming back from that one. And I think last night is what did it for a lot of people. And in that moment, it was like a collective exhale.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, right? I mean, go back to that rivalry game, and what was the play that everybody points to in that game? It was the Mana Carvalho, botched punt return. And what was interesting in the post game presser with the players was Ryan Davis actually called it out that, he prefaced it by saying, in today's age with sports betting and that people feel really empowered and entitled to reach out to athletes and say a lot of nasty things. And Ryan Davis was witness to that with Mana Carvalho and who he said got a lot of hate for that game. And, Ryan talked about, him sitting next to him, after that game and just reinforcing his belief in him and that his opportunity to make a play where everybody loved him would come soon. And, 2 games later now, he has the play arguably of the game, right? There were a lot of great plays, but I think that was the play. It was an eruption in Rice Eccles Stadium of the likes of the Britton Covey punt return in 2021 against Oregon in a hand-painted helmet, of Cam Rising punching it in for the 2-point conversion against USC in 2022 in a hand-painted helmet. You can go back in the history of the hand-painted helmet games, and there's probably a play in each and every game where the Rice Eccles Stadium erupts, goes crazy, and Mana Carvalho had that, and he's going to be remembered for that play. It was a big one, and I think, to your point, Bennett, was the sort of moment play that got people back on board. I do think that's going to be a thing, and for me, I think what stood out, what was fun was, the shout out to the Mighty Utah student section. They were at it all day. literally all day, camped out overnight, got up early for ESPN College Game Day, made a strong impression throughout the morning on the show. And then, at night, things are winding down. Utah's up big. The mighty Utah shirtless section debuts in glorious fashion and just powers Utah to the finish line with authority. Just an incredible moment that was a lot of fun to see. Obviously, it's a growing trend throughout college football, but the Utah student section made an impressive debut with the shirtlessness on Saturday night.
I've been lucky enough to have my own college game day experience where you're on campus from sunrise all the way to an 8 p.m. kickoff. That's you're really on campus all day long, and let me tell you, those fellas slept good last night.
Yeah. I
know that for certain.
I thought you were going to take it in a different direction and share your experience as a shirtless person on the Jumbotron yourself. But sorry, that was a different your night. Story. Yeah, that was a different night. That's your story to share. I apologize.
No, the nips only come out for a special occasion, and as good as this was, I let those boys have it last night, and I was on literally the opposite corner of the stadium. There was no opportunity to join them, or I probably would.
It just kept growing and growing and growing. Every time you look up, it'd just be twice the size. It was.
They went back to it a lot on the broadcast too. Same thing. Each time they showed it, that you could see there were more people, and then like a few plays later, they showed it again. There's more people, and then they sent. Who was the sideline reporter last night?
Taylor something.
They sent her up there. And she's just in a sea of just shirtless students.
That's if I'm Taylor, I'm writing somebody at the standards department at ESPN or something about that. Like they sent me up there. No, that's not.
I'm getting time and a half for that at the very least. Like that's what I'm.
That's in the shark. That's in the shark like pit without a cage. I don't know. I don't like that.
Oh man! Well, shout out to Taylor for that. No, but that was an incredible scene up there in the student section. So let's dive into the game. And Utah, outside of a couple losses, has been pretty dominant in a lot of these games. And last night was no different. 45-14, the final score. But you look at some of the numbers and. This was a really interesting game statistically, right? Obviously, Utah 480 total yards. Cincinnati still had 427. Inefficiency, but explosiveness for Cincinnati is the best way to describe what they did. A couple plays go for huge gains, a couple big touchdowns, and it just made for an interesting dynamic. But when you guys watch this game, what stood out to you most about what is allowing Utah to sort of dominate in these recent matchups?
Pressure.
Like
I think I've seen multiple stats today. Like Utah's got, I think the second highest pressure rate without blitzing in the country. Shout out to John Henry Daly and Logan Fano. But also the blitz packages this week and last week were insane. And I think I want to say Sorsby, or maybe it was their offensive coordinator. I saw somebody on Cincinnati said that they got caught off guard by a lot of the blitz packages that Scally was bringing. So with as much as they blitzed last week, if they're still catching teams off guard with stuff that might not be on film,
as much as they blitz, period. They're the blitzingest teams in the country, and to do that and to still catch Cincy off guard.
Right. That's surprising. I think I saw the number for the pressure rate with just your base rush being 41%. And I think blitz rate, Utah's also top three in the country at 48%. So, Scally loves to send the blitz, obviously. And the fact, to your point, Tyson, that they're still catching teams by surprise. It's like, how deep is that bag?
Hopefully a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, to answer the earlier question, I think like pressure and then the opposite of that, the protection, kind of the negative pressure on the offensive side, right? Like protection's been absolutely phenomenal the last two games. Last night, Damp had as much time as he wanted on most plays in the backfield. He, obviously improvises a bit, gives himself some more time when he can, but Cincy's defensive line looked like they were safe rushing all game, and whether they were or not, they weren't making much progress getting back there.
So safe to say maybe then both sides of the ball, it sounds like the trenches, like just in a word, trench
Yeah.
play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. Physicality, playing Utah football. I know there's a lot of people, myself included, who would love to see 400 yards of passing just on the frequent, but 400 yards of rushing is pretty cool too. We've seen that this season. Top 10 offense, top 10 defense in terms of scoring. Pretty cool. Won a big game, pretty cool. But yeah, trench play is where that all starts.
Speaking of physicality too, like I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it's something I noticed. I think you could tell this might have been the first game where they might have told Wayshawn, like, the blinders are off, dude. Like, this is your game. Like, he was running.
Yeah.
Like, he was in a different gear and he's been very good all year. But last night felt like the way he was running, just, you could tell there was a little something more behind that. And I wonder if that was like the coach is telling him, listen, man, like, reins are off, blinders are off. Go off right now.
Man, he's got some great vision and great ability to just change direction on the fly, right? We think back to the Colorado game. He had that remarkable cut to the outside where he, basically gave the stanky leg to make his cut. And then this week is his Wildcat, his run from out of the Wildcat. Cincinnati had 4 defenders to that side, and what Wayshawn saw was, probably felt the offensive line getting blocks to create an opportunity to just cut it back, just bend it back a little bit, right? He could have bounced it outside, but he saw the movement in front of him with the offensive line kind of clearing the path for him. He gets vertical and darts into the end zone from 39 yards out. And I think just his vision and ability to adjust on the fly is really remarkable and arguably his best quality. So and what's exciting is, right, he's now over 600 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground. He's added a couple more through the air. So production-wise, already surpassed what he did last year at Washington State. You look at his numbers, he's top 10 in the Big 12, and he's doing it on a fraction of the carries of some of the leaders in the Big 12, still only 87 carries on the season. And you think of what the next 3 games, what sort of opportunities he's going to have against Kansas State, Baylor, and Kansas defense. Really exciting to think about what's ahead for Wayshawn Parker.
And just at the right time, like you mentioned his vision, you mentioned his abilities. Like he just on his 3rd down touchdown play, I said out loud, like snarkily to the person next to me, like, love not having my quarterback in the backfield on 3rd down. As he like takes the snap, makes 2 cuts, and is in the end zone. And just like happy to eat as much crow as he's willing to provide, but having that ability to not to make me look stupid in in what I thought was a true and something I stand by. But him making a play and he and Jason Beck making me eat my words immediately. That type of it's the kind of, he was running last night in a way that makes you say, what's taken so long to get this many carries and this much action for this guy? Because he clearly looks like he's playing at another level than the other guys in the position.
Well, I think he's at a different level health-wise. There was a lingering little something that just kind of had him on a snap. I don't want to say a snap count because that's not really fair, but just sort of, you got to be mindful of him. You don't want to expose him to too many hits. And I think he's to the point now in the season where, like you said, he's at a level where he can run now and the blinders are off, right? There's no restrictions now. I think we're to that point with Wayshawn. And I think too, keep in mind, he is only a true sophomore, right? He is still a young pup, right? Not everybody is built like Zach Moss coming out of high school, right? So he's still working and growing and developing into being that bell cow. But man, you'll take 70, 80 yards on 10 carries. He finally got, I think, to 15 this week in this week's game. So again, getting to the touches. Oh, he actually had 17 carries on the night against Cincinnati. And I think that's the sort of number that I think a lot of people want to see for him moving forward as well. So
hell of a time for a bye week too.
Oh,
to take another week to just kind of rest up and, just maybe he's operating at 95% this week. Like he's going to be 100% in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's huge, right? And think about that, right? Not just for Wayshawn, but the bye week coming for everybody else, right? I think this is a great place to have the bye week. You've taken care of business as best you can in arguably not arguably, it is your toughest slate of games. These past 4 games, Arizona State, BYU, Colorado, and Cincinnati, to go 3-1 against those 4 teams. I think everybody, had you put that out there, preseason, a lot of people would have taken that, no hesitation. Obviously, some debate about which team you're taking that loss to, right? But certainly, I think everybody's pretty optimistic about feeling good about 3-1 through that slate. And now you get to the bye week, you get to reset, you get to regroup and refresh for the final 3 games of the season. And what's been interesting is with this run game, just the diversity, right? You add in another change of pace back in Daniel Bray, who adds another element that you got to account for. And I think that's just been what's been so fun about Beck's offense, is just the multiplicity, the versatility, the creativity, the diversity of run plays that we're seeing, right? It's not just inside zone. There are so many different looks that you have to prepare for that it allows everything to kind of have its place in the offense as well.
My favorite thing about Beck's offense right now is there's multiple times a game where they're getting big chunk plays in the run game, but it's not just a single hole just getting blown wide open. It's like one of Dampier's longer runs. I think it might have been a QB counter where they pulled Bentley and Caleb Lomu from the left side. And the way that it was blocked, everybody blocked exactly who they were supposed to be blocking, but like Dampier was just snaking his way up the field with just like
patient.
3 or 4 guys around him.
Yeah.
Like, and you kind of lost him on the broadcast from like the sky cam. You lost him for a bit. And then all of a sudden he's out the other side, like untouched. And then they show the end zone angle. And it's just like everyone's going right to their block. And Dampier's just following perfectly. He's being patient. He's just kind of weaving his way. And then he sees the last block happen and he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, stuff about that, like, just is so cool to watch, like, when they show the replays. Instead of just, like, again, like, giant hole blown open and a running back or a quarterback makes a guy miss and makes a play. Like, it's just so, like, meticulous and, like, thoughtful, and then it's just gone.
No, it's true football junkie stuff, watching the blocking schemes develop, right, with the proper timing, the proper spacing. There was a Wayshawn Parker run where a similar thing, a counter play, and he's weaving in, cutting up, cutting out, and he's just allowing his blocks to develop. And I think it's been a lot of fun to watch the offensive line. I think everybody should be in agreement that this group is playing up to the billing. Obviously, some matchups where that would have been emphatically been the case had they had some better performances in those 2 losses. But I think overall you have to be pleased with what this offensive line has done. Devin Dampier, we've talked a lot about him so far. Finished the night 16-31 for 213, 2 touchdowns, an interception, kind of an inexcusable interception, but ran it 14 times for 78 yards. Benny, let me throw this one to you. Do you feel like he met or exceeded expectations in his return after missing last week against Colorado?
I'd say that he didn't like super exceed those expectations, but he didn't meet them either. He's somewhere like softly in between. The numbers that he had didn't don't jump out. 16 of 31. People look at it like, oh, a lot of incomplete passes, a lot of misses, the bad interception, blah, blah, blah. Like people are quick to like jump at the throws that he missed. But honestly, he led an offense that scored 45 points. And in those third down situations, like you look at the first drive, 4th and 7, willed his way past the marker. The 2nd and 15, getting the ball to Ryan Davis instead of letting that turn to 3rd and 15 and basically play for a field goal at that point. He found Ryan Davis. Like he made the right plays in the right moments. His decision making last night was great and just kept leading the offense. So I feel like anytime you lead an offense to 45 points, you can't say somebody met expectations because you shouldn't expect 45, even though we're scoring 39. But yeah, so somewhere in between, but wasn't a 60 burger. How about that?
Yeah. I think you're right, though. I think the way he showed up in big moments in this game is what, if the stats aren't jumping off the page, there's definitely a couple of items like you mentioned the interception, a couple of the balls that the deep balls he threw that are just a step or two behind guys, a couple of them leading to pass interference calls, which is not nothing, right? But the difference being that, on those 4th down plays, pushing linebackers over to get to the marker, right? And like setting that tone for this team. I think that first drive, him having that play was a really big moment, even just for himself and for the group, right? To say like, listen, I'm still that guy. I'm still here to make these plays. We're scoring on this drive, no matter what the hell happens. And keeping that momentum through the game. After that drive, I just remember thinking like, man, that was a tough drive for Utah. Utah fought for that drive, and as good as Ficklin looked against Colorado, one of those things that it's just like a couple of moments on that drive. I don't know if anyone but Devin Dampier is capable of getting Utah, to the end zone there. And so, I mean, I agree. I think like, I'm not going to sit here and argue that he had a perfect game.
Right.
He played well enough for Utah to score 45 points. I don't know how much more you can ask for.
Yeah, what's interesting is you go to gameonpaper.com, which is a great statistical website to go to if you're into a lot of the advanced metrics and all that sort of stuff. And it gives you a recap of the most important plays in terms of what it did for win probability percentage and EPA, which are some fun numbers to dive into. And the third most important play in this game was the 4th and 7 QB keeper, Dampier keeper, where he ran for 7 yards on the first possession of the game. That was most important play number 3. And then the other one is most important play number 9, which was the 3rd and 10, where he ran it a little bit earlier on the drive, kept it, converted the 3rd and 10 to keep that drive moving. So that's where the sort of value, right, where you see a 7-yard rush and there's, okay, he ran for 7 yards, whoopee. That's all you're going to see on some of these, the raw statistics. But in terms of the moment, in terms of the impact on the game, those are the types of plays that were vital to Utah grabbing hold of the momentum and sort of speaking to, your commentary about him and his impact and ability to control the game and grab control of the game. And I think his QBR sort of reflects that as well. He had a 79.6 QBR in the game and really just was able to make those plays. So, not the most efficient night for him, but maybe the most impactful performance we've seen from him this season.
And I think we know I'm sorry, Ben.
I'll go be super quick. So the 3rd and 10, the 4th and 7 runs, the reason those are there, he's able to get those is because defenses are having to respect his ability to throw. He's been able to make the throws to keep things moving when needed. And a big part of his game is getting it with his legs too.
And he made some great middle throws too, like those 7 to 10 yard throws throughout the night, like throws right at the sticks and throwing into windows. He had the one slant I remember specifically to Ryan Davis that kind of put it on his back shoulder so Ryan could pivot and go back to avoid the linebacker coming over, and like really good, precise intermediate throws that he was missing in earlier games in the year too, that he was hitting last night. And so what I was going to say earlier is just that I think we've seen in college football over and over, but with Utah specifically, and obviously specifically at quarterback, but there are guys who are more important than the numbers they put on the fields because they bring things to the team. They bring a level of confidence and poise that their replacements, no matter how talented they are unable to do. And like Cam Rising had a little bit of that. I think Damp Scott's got a little bit of that too, where having him in that huddle levels up everybody else in that huddle just by having him there.
Yeah, definitely agree with all of that. Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say it puts the quarterback controversy stuff that was starting to the week, puts a lot of that to bed, which is nice. If Bird plays, Bird puts up 45 points. You go into bye week and it's like, who do you start for the final 3 games? And Bird very much maybe could have scored 45 points last night, but what's important is Devin Dampier, the leader, the guy that's been tasked with the
Yeah, I think the thing I think about when I think about Dampier's game, like we said, it's not the most efficient. It wasn't the most consistent. I don't think his ankle was fully there. I think you could tell a little bit there wasn't quite the level of confidence in his planning on it and running with it, which is why I think a lot of his runs, he was kind of willing his way through a guy to get for those first downs instead of he might have tried to make the guy miss. Like I think one of the runs I think the fourth and 7, it looked like he was going to try to cut, realized his ankle might not be able to do it. So then he just put his head down and just pushed through the guy to get there. Yeah. And I think that had a lot to do with his throwing too. Some of those underthrown balls didn't look like he kind of pushed off that back foot like he normally would like to. So I think again, you can't nitpick a guy for scoring that much in a game like that, but I think it can excite you a little bit to think another bye week off to get healthy and then come back for the last 3 games. It can only get better. Yeah,
I mean, nothing makes that ankle feel better than your backup putting up 40 points while you're watching it.
That's good rehab. That's good rehab right there.
I'm surprised we didn't get more bird calls in Rice Eccles last night.
I was making them.
I thought I heard you.
I thought I heard them. Yeah.
Oh.
Heard me out go.
I thought I heard them. No, that's great. Defensively, I want to ask you guys something. Is there a more improved group than this defensive secondary this season?
No shot. I think that this is maybe the one thing I wanted to talk about this week, if anything else. For guys not named Smith Snowden, this is the best game they've showed ever, all season, and it's not even close. Cotton specifically had a lot of amazing plays. Saunders had played out of his mind in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Just was a lockdown on the Utah sideline. Again, Smith had a tough matchup and got beat a couple times, but especially on that touchdown play, as soon as the ball was in the air, it was just there's no chance. He's gaining ground, and sometimes that's going to happen. The way Utah was in position, the way their DBs were sealing guys off and playing tough coverage and without having a bunch of penalties, I don't believe there was a flag on Utah defensive backfield last night, if I'm not mistaken, which is a win in itself any game, but with as tough as they were playing. If you would have showed me this tape 4 weeks ago, I would have told you it was AI and that this group wasn't capable of playing as well as they did. And again, against a good Cincinnati team, they were dropping balls into what should have been buckets that Utah was breaking up on the edges. again, some got through. That's always going to happen. But I was really, really happy and really surprised, frankly, to see how well this group played. And to the blitzing point earlier, right? Like with all the pressure coming, all the pure cover zero Utah was running against a guy who can sling it and can put balls in places. That group really showed up and is easily my like defensive group of the game. Even despite giving up a couple of big plays as a group, like the overall performance was, I mean, what you expect out of a Utah DB group and what I've felt like has been missing for at least, the first half of the season.
Yeah. I think that's totally, yeah, go ahead, Tyson.
I was going to say, that was like Utah's entire game plan was put a bunch of pressure on Sorsby and tell the defensive secondary, like, lock up. Like, press man, get on him, don't let him catch the ball because it's going to come out quick. So, like, I think one play where I think Cotton got there right at the very end and knocked the ball out of a receiver's hand. Like, he was beat by, like, maybe a step and a half at the beginning of it because I think the guy kind of got to his outside and then Cotton immediately turned his head because I want to say the game plan was you got to expect throws to come quick. Because we're going to be, sending a lot of pressure, so the throws are going to have to come out faster. So I think Cotton turned his head a little early, but then he has the speed and the length. He made the recovery and knocked the ball out of the receiver's hand. So like again, I don't think you can put this as anything but the defensive secondary as group of the game on the defensive side. Again, never minding all the pressure and everything. I was surprised to see they didn't have a single sack.
That's what I was just going to say. I might consider giving something to, because there was a ton of pressure on Sorsby all night, and I might consider giving something to that group, but they just never got home. They just couldn't quite get there. But again, that's what Cincy does. And like, even on the touchdown pass that they had, the long touchdown pass, like that ball was out of his hand. Like that was like one step and just tossed the little seam fade and it was gone.
That was it all night for Sorsby was just put the foot down and throw it. I think he had like an average time to throw of like 2.3 seconds. And like, John Henry Daly is super fast, super quick off the snap, but 2.3 seconds to get home, that's tough even for him. And I think too, Scally, Coach Powell, Coach Ellis had these guys prepared for this sort of quick throw game because they were getting hands up. And they were bad down passes. And I, again, that's just, yeah, 3.
2 in a row.
3.
2 in a row, too.
Yeah, on that first drive.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And I think that sort of set the tone. And I think that's the sort of detail, right, that you shouldn't take for granted when it comes to this game, right, is that sort of detail level. Those are the details that, when you're talking to former players, Eric Weddle, Stevenson Sylvester, after a loss, and they're calling out the attention to detail in a lot of different things and what went wrong in a certain game. That's the sort of stuff that Weddle is referring to, right? A team is getting the ball out of their hands quickly in the passing game. You're not going to get home with the same amount of pressure that you did the last week against Caden Salter. It's about getting your hands up. It's about, trying to bat down some passes, and they did that. And two, the defensive secondary had a number of PBUs as well. And again, just great coverage all night. Sorsby had to drop it in a bucket to even give his guys a chance outside of a handful of plays where, Snowden got beat. And to be clear, I know that Snowden was not 100% in this game. And I think that was pretty obvious, with how he got beat last night. But, so the bye week comes at a good time for him and for a number of other guys. But really, here are some of the numbers from guys in the secondary last night. Blake Cotton, 3 receptions on 10 targets for 28 yards, 1 PBU. Don Saunders, 0 receptions on 5 targets, 1 PBU. Scooby Davis, 2 receptions on 3 targets, 1 PBU, but only 20 yards allowed. And then Teo Johnson also had a fantastic PBU, making a break on it to the center of the field, getting his hand on it just at the right time. Again, I think it's interesting because we've seen this almost time and time again with Morgan Scally, Sharif Shaw, and yet it's still surprising to see where this group was the first 3-4 weeks of the season to where they were last night, and how little separation they were conceding, the sort of plays that they were making. It was a really impressive performance by the defensive secondary.
And PBUs are not if you are not that familiar with football stats, if you're not poring over stat sheets after games, they're not that common. Like 4 in a game is a lot. There's a lot of games Utah has where they have none. Like not every incompletion is a PBU. And so like DBs getting there, that is explicitly incompletions forced by DBs. Those would be completions if not for the defensive back actually making contact and blocking them away. Like it's a big deal. They're great plays. 1 is a lot for a DB for a game. And like,
it's like
it's
a sack for a DB.
It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's big, and I think it's been really interesting these last 2 weeks where, last week we saw a blitz heavy scheme against Caden Salter where it was all about getting pressure and the compounding effect that it had on Salter. This week, a different approach, right? And I think this shows sort of the versatility that this defense has, that Scally has as well, where, okay, what worked last week may not work this week. We're still going to dial up some different things, but we've got to play a different bent of ball. Other guys are going to have to step up. And I think that's a great sign of a great coach, great coordinator, to know what buttons to push, certain weeks, who to call on, who to have, ready to go, and that sort of stuff. I think just a great couple of weeks for the defense, last night and against Colorado the week before. So, yeah, really impressive stuff. And overall, I mean, you look at the numbers by the defense, right? We talked a lot about the offense, 400, 500 yards of offense to 39 points per game. This defense also doing a really impressive job of keeping opponents under their averages pretty consistently this season. It's been, and it's just a hallmark of Utah, is turning these opponents, especially at Rice Cycle Stadium, into really efficient units. It's impressive.
And it's something I think we take for granted, and how often Utah's defense stifles these teams who come in. Obviously, there's exceptions, right? Like Texas Tech came in, had a good day and stuff, but it's very common for Utah to come in and give teams their worst offensive game of the season. And, I think if you're just watching Utah football every week, it's easy to take that for granted. But it's hard to hold teams to 14 points, y'all. Since he's scored 70 this year once. They are very capable on offense. They've scored 40 another game. They've scored over 30, I think, 3 other times. And Utah held them to 14.
Yep. Really impressive stuff. All right. Let's anything else from the game before we put a bow on that and turn our attention to the bigger picture and the playoff tiebreaker scenarios?
Monica Carvalho is going to give me a heart attack. The touchdown definitely helped that, but even before he caught it, I kind of had a mini heart attack. I wasn't sure he was underneath it. And it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the BYU game either. The way he's running around underneath the ball looks like a cartoon.
There was one punt he caught where he was not on the ground. Both of his feet were off the ground when he caught the ball. And I'm just like, what is this guy doing? And then, he has 2 great returns after that. And the trick is, what I'm saying is, last night, every time I opened my mouth to criticize the team, they immediately shoved my foot into it. So shout out to them. Yeah.
I love it. All right, so let's kind of reset here. Utah gets the win. They improve to what do they improve to? 7-2, 5-4, 7-2, 4-2 in conference play. And this was a big one. This was a must-have for Utah as we talk about the Big 12 title race and what it means. This was a must-have, and we talked about it all week, that the focus was there, that they knew they had to get this game. So now that they've got it, we can now look ahead a little bit to some of these tiebreaker scenarios and who we need to start rooting for, who we need to start seeing drop some games and that sort of thing. And so Tyson, I know you've done a lot of homework on this and had a lot of fun with it. So let me ask you this. Simplest path to Utah, trip into Arlington for the Big 12 title game. What needs to happen?
The simplest path is obviously every scenario Utah needs to win out. But the other simplest path is BYU wins out. BYU wins out, Utah wins out. 90% of the time, it's going to be a Utah BYU rematch in Arlington, because BYU winning out gives Cincinnati their second loss, and also Texas Tech their second loss as well. So any three-way tie between those teams results in Utah going to the.
I'd like to hear the rest of the menu before I make a selection.
And like in our thing, we said simplest, and so I think simplest and most likely it might be that, which I know it really hurts to say it, but there is a fun scenario where it is a Utah Texas Tech rematch in Arlington, and I believe with a certain team that wears blue ending up 6th in the conference in a 5-way tie.
Whoa!
Is this a wheels fall off at BYU scenario?
Shoots and
How
ladders.
does this happen?
It's not necessarily a wheels fall off scenario. It's just BYU ending up with 2 losses where it's not Texas Tech being one of them. So they lose to 2 of Cincinnati, TCU, and UCF, which it's going to have to be Cincinnati and TCU, I assume.
Hey, Scott Frost might have one more magic trick in his bag.
But I think I just
that's surprising.
Yep. Yeah. So BYU loses to Texas Tech. I believe. So then they lose to they only need to lose one of TCU or Cincinnati. So if that is TCU.
But then do they need Houston to lose again?
Nah.
How does
Houston's got their second loss already.
Okay. That's right.
West Virginia gave us a gift.
Yeah, that was a big one.
So
shout out to Rich Rod.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rich Rod. West Virginia only beats ranked teams. Yeah. Unranked teams playing West Virginia, have a day. Ranked teams playing West Virginia, look out. This is the only one we care about.
So if there's
was Pitt ranked?
1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't know. They are now. Pitt is hot right now.
I think they were at the
hot
time.
right now. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just West Virginia's got a weird record. You look at their games, especially because the games they're losing by 1 million.
Yeah, dude, it is not close.
So that was the other great thing. Like, not only did it hand Houston at second loss, but so if there's a more than 2 team tie for second place, the next thing is conference opponent record, and that adds a win to Utah's opponent column. Utah doesn't play Houston. So that just elevates that number. It's already pretty high. All the numbers I've run, like, it's already higher than every other team's. But so the scenario would be BYU loses to Tech and TCU in back-to-back weeks and then wins out, beating Cincinnati to give them their second loss. ASU ends up winning out. So there's a 4-way tie with Utah, Arizona State, TCU, and BYU for second. Utah goes to the title game. BYU ends up 5th.
Wow. So wait, hear me out. What if BYU beats Texas Tech, loses to TCU, loses to UCF? Does this get us Utah and Cincy in that game?
No, that would still. Oh wait, hang on.
Oh,
hang on. I had other stuff.
I'm just trying to think because that would be TCU still with Texas Tech.
You need Tech to lose second time if
another. So okay, Because they'd have the
so they would
tiebreaker over Utah.
Yep. So they would need. Well, they'd only have one conference loss. You need
Right.
them to drop. If they beat BYU, they have to drop another one to, I don't know, UCF. Who else do they play? UCF or West Virginia.
Well, no, that's what I was saying. So if BYU beats Texas Tech.
Oh, if BYU wins that game.
Yeah, BYU beats Texas Tech, but loses to TCU and
Yes,
to
that
UCF.
would be a Cincinnati, Utah. Pac-12
Let's go.
championship.
Let's go. That's the path, baby. We found it. We found it. None of this BYU and Utah win out bull crap. We found the path. We found the one way. Cincy, we will see you in Arlington.
It's running back.
I did have an interaction on Twitter with a Cincinnati fan who said, "I would like if this ends up like in a 100-point loss, Utah or Cincinnati still controls their destiny to go to Arlington." And I was like, "Hey, I'll take the 100-point win.
Yeah,
We'll see you guys in Arlington again if you want to feel confident about that."
Even if we didn't go to Arlington, I'd be like, "Yeah, listen, Utah beat the Big 12 champion by 100 this year, so I'm pretty happy claiming this title." I think if you beat the champion of your league by 100 in the regular season, I think you get to keep that trophy. I'm just saying.
Oh my
gosh. There's your scenarios. I think the most fun is BYU beating Texas Tech and then dropping 2 games towards the end of the year.
Truly, though, because it would be like, great, all downhill from here, folks. We just got to go beat TCU and UCF.
It'd be like last year, right? I mean, last
year
done all
the hard work.
Prime position. They get out of Salt Lake City and they're still unscathed, and from there they would drop the 3 in a row, and end up in the People's Championship.
Yeah, if you because if BYU loses out, Utah's out because BYU's opponents won too many games. Is that right?
If BYU loses out?
Like, if BYU loses out, that gets us, like, Cincy, Texas Tech championship, right? Yep. Even if Utah wins out?
Yep.
I could live with that. I could live with that.
You need Cincy to lose another game.
Just absolute horror.
Listen, if it keeps Utah out of the championship game and BYU loses 3 games, like, that's a good compromise. I'll take that deal.
But before yesterday, I did play around with it, and I got a scenario. This is the most fun I had. There was a scenario where there was a 7-way tie for first of teams at 6 and 3.
Oh my god, you've been playing with this.
I know,
this site, dude.
But the best part was the Big 12 championship game was Utah TCU.
I'll take that deal too.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. Holy moly, man!
I'm ready to order. Thank you, waiter, for the special. I'm ready to order. I'll take the Utah TCU championship. The 7-way tie for 6-3, 6 and 3 7-course meal would be great.
I love it. All right. Okay. So Utah went out, take care of business. If you want to root for teams or not, who cares? Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the ride. Let the chips fall where they may.
I don't believe my rooting interest has a difference in these games, and that gives me the freedom to always hope BYU loses, no matter how it affects Utah.
I love it. Oh man, I love it, fellas. How are we going to be enjoying the bye week? What do we got on tap this week for the bye week? How are you spending your week off from college, from Utah football this week?
I am going to be in San Francisco for work, and so I'm going to just be enjoying the Bay. I'm going to be having a good old time in the city.
Love it.
You go to San Francisco a lot.
This is actually my first time back there in a while. I've been Seattle a lot lately. Which, frankly, Seattle might be a better city. Sorry, SF heads.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York for work travel this week, so I'll be in the city.
Look at you guys
on the other side. Going to Knicks Wolves on Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden, so that'll be a good time. See my brother, do a little work, do a little play, and then I think I'm just gonna lay low next weekend and just hunker down, watch some of these outcomes, maybe do some of the things around the house, and then got to work travel to Dallas that I'm hitching to the Baylor game. So that'll be the stretch.
Nice.
There you go, man. That's what you got on tap this week.
I've never traveled for work in my entire career, so that's not starting this week.
It's overrated.
It's overrated.
Yeah. I know.
It is very overrated.
Of
the three people here who travel for work, I do it the least, and I'm still the one who's like, no, it's overrated.
I will be staying in the good old city of Salt Lake and working on my house and going to my 3-year-old soccer games and
love it.
Laying low.
Love it. Well, we'll put a bow on this one. We'll wrap this one up. Appreciate you guys. Hope everybody enjoyed the win, enjoyed the weekend, enjoyed Halloween this weekend as well. And we'll be back at it throughout the week. Utah basketball starting up. Excited for that to get going. I know, Cam. I'll introduce you to the sport.
Jazz have already played like 8 games or something. What are you talking about?
Oh, man, I love it. Appreciate you, boys. And we'll wrap this one up. And we'll be back at it tomorrow, this week. Later.